Today's show, we're going to be talking about acting, and my guest today is going to be diving right into that. Just that, it's going to be interesting because I've never had a comedian actor on my show before. So stay tuned. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host. And please subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel a lot. Greatly appreciated. Today, I have a special guest joining me on the show, Sean Towgood. Sean is a creator, co-producer, a writer, and he's the lead actor and on a Canadian TV show. It's called You're My Hero. Well, Sean, thank you so much, and you're my hero actually for joining the show today. Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and talking with you guys.
Yeah, and I was saying before we went live to you, Sean, this podcast is primarily, it's a lot of advocacy talk, more or less, right? And I was telling you that when Brent reached out to me a couple of years ago to do this podcast, I said we can do the advocacy, no problem, it's fine. But I said, I want to make sure that we have fun. I want to make sure that we have fun on the podcast too, right? So this podcast and this whole channel that I have on YouTube, there's a lot of extra things on it. Like we have you have your travel segments, and we have the food reviews, and we have the music and all the rest of it. And it's fun, and so this is a kind of a departure for us that we have an actor on the show. But in a way, it's not really a departure because we're all about the fun here. So it is a departure, but not. So
yeah, exactly. That's why when I introduced you, Sean, I said, you're my hero for coming on, because your series that you have going there, that is a very interesting. I really enjoy the first series I've watched. I haven't watched, of course, your second series because you don't have it out yet. But
I did.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Well, yeah. I got the what do they call it? The press kit.
Oh,
I got the secret code for the press kit, and I thought you watched it too, but yeah. So I got the link for the press kit, and I got the sneak peek for the season 2 before everybody else.
There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I've never had a press kit before, and the closest I've had to getting the front of the line or something is when you go to the first day of a movie or something. You line up for the first day of the movie, but actually it got ahead of the line, and got to see the whole second series before anybody else. So it was really cool.
You got premier front row seats.
Yeah. I really like the supporting actors actors in the show. They're really good.
Absolutely.
There's that Korean actress. She's very good in the show. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So Sean, tell me first of all, how did you come to be on becoming the lead actor, and like the the writer, the co-producer, etc. For this?
Well, you know, I I I watched a lot of television as a kid, and I realized, you know, there wasn't a lot of things that kind of reflected my true experience as somebody who grew up with a disability. You know, I often find that media representation is on two ends of a spectrum, either like really tragic or
Yeah.
really inspirational.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that accurately reflected what it was to be a young man with cerebral palsy. So,
Yeah.
Right on.
And we always talk about the term inspiration porn. Yeah, and I always hate that too. You know, when it has to, because I mean, I'll plug my book a little bit too. Like my book, Daddy Bent Legs, which I released like 15 years ago now. The reason why I wrote the book is exactly the same reason, Sean, is that I just wanted a book that accurately showed the experience, because everything that I saw was just a bunch of inspiration porn, and I was like, I don't want to read that. I want to show something that's a bit fun, like just like this podcast. My book, I wanted my book to be fun, and I wanted to be an accurate reflection of what having a disability actually was, right? So, yeah.
I mean, turning a real life lived experience into a show, or like anything like that, or like a documentary, like turning it around and shining the light on who you are, and having your experiences shine out there. It's so neat. Like for myself, it's like turning all my lived experience and by bringing people onto the show and talking about what do they go through, and it's almost like looking in a mirror, you know, and having it amplify out. I mean, with you, so your show, it really amplifies out a lot of things. I think that a lot of people with disabilities they go through. That's what I pick up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what we try to do with that is we don't try and teach lessons. We do it through humor, so that people are laughing, and then they realize that, oh, maybe I do some of those things sometimes. Maybe I should look at how I'm interacting with people with disabilities, because nobody wants to be lectured to, right? Like,
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really did appreciate about the show, and it started right from the very first episode, actually, of season 1, is kind of like your opening scene is like you in the sling in the ceiling lift, ceiling track lift, right? And again, like Sean, you probably don't know this, Sean, but my first wife, she's gone now, but she had arthrogryposis, so she was confined to a motorized wheelchair her whole life, and she needed care aids 24/7, and she needed the ceiling track lift and the whole bit, and and I just thought it was really refreshing. Like I was telling your manager that, you know, I was a big fan of the show Speechless. I don't know if you were. I really like that show. But like thinking back to that show, I don't ever recall seeing a shot of the character in a sling, and you had that. I thought that was really cool. That showed that, and then you were talking about problems with your care aides, or you call them personal care workers. Is that was, you used the term, right? And again, that doesn't get a lot of airplay too. And I thought that was kind of cool that you're talking about the carriage not showing up and, you know, getting stuck in the sling and all that kind of stuff. Because that was really resonating with me, because I've lived through all that with my first wife, right? So yeah, it was cool.
That's the part it came out to me as the number one part, where it was like what you went through, you know, as the role actor. And I thought, wow, like how you explained all that too. It was so neat. I really enjoyed that. I look forward to the number two. I haven't taken a look at that.
Well, you did have the link, Brent.
Oh, now I got the popcorn out there in front row seats. Now I'll watch it. Oh yeah,
there you
go.
To
that one.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think those are the moments that I'm most proud of, because it's moments like those that people don't really see very much on television.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see the day-to-day stuff of what it's like living with a disability. There's another shot that I go back to when I talk about this. When Ian goes to work and he can't get into work.
Right.
The beginning of that. Yeah. The beginning of that episode is he gets out of the wheelchair accessible van, and I'm pretty sure like that's very rare to see on television.
Yeah, you don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the episode where you lost power to your wheelchair and you had to plug in. I mean, again, that was something that I went through with my wife in her chair. We like almost a weekly occurrence, almost a weekly occurrence where there would be low battery. It's like shit, you know. Oh no. Yeah, it happened all the time, and So one of the things I did want to talk about a little bit is how challenging it is for you to juggle. Like I know with a comedy you have to kind of hit the beats, and again you've only got 18 minutes to package a story. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your opinion on, is sometimes, like, of course in real life, like I can say, for my own example, I'm sure you have tons too, where if your chair breaks down, like I've been stuck in a park at 10:30 at night. You know, my wife was stuck in her chair at 10:30 at night in a park, and we had to call the fire department. And so this was the whole thing. It was like we wasted like 2 hours of our night, and the fire truck had to come, and the firemen like escorted us back to the place so they could, you know, take her from the chair into the bed and stuff, and of course all that takes like, you know, 4 hours or 2 hours or whatever, and one of the things I wanted to say is how do you juggle that with a show where you have to be quick, because one of the things I was going to say is, for example, the episode called The Stain. You know, that's we'll get to that in a second, but the Stain was good because you were stuck in bed and you were like, man, I'm stuck in bed all day. But I almost wished, and I'll get your opinion on this, I almost wished that there was a part 1 and a part 2 for that one. You know what I mean? Like, I wish there was more time to really get down into the kind of the psychosis of it, or you know, you could kind of spend more time on, man, this sucks, or spend more time on the kind of the shit thing that you did as a friend. And we'll get into that too, but kind of be able to dive deeper with a bit more time. So I just wanted to talk to you about managing your time and the 18-minute limit, and trying to flesh out the stories of, like, you know, going a little bit deeper. Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always a balance. What we try and do on this show is give those types of issues the time that they deserve, because that's what this show is like, is doing, that is so special, you know? So,
Yeah.
but also if you let it linger a bit too long, then it becomes it kind of drags the pace down. So yeah, I agree. I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with in the writers' room was how do we give those moments time, but yet keep the comedy up. But what I will say is that when we run into those issues, we always strive to go with authenticity first, and then build from there.
Yeah, because I know you do have to hit your beats because it is comedy, so you have to hit your beats. I understand that, but like, I just keep going back to that Stain episodes because I'm thinking to myself, like, it would have been cool to kind of have it be a part 1 and part 2. I don't know how you would have done that. I don't know how you would have done that necessarily, but you know what I mean? Like, just spend a bit more time on that particular episode, because I really like that whole vibe on that particular episode. It's like, man, I wish there was a bit more time on that one. You know? But
I totally agree with you. I think there's a lot more to explore, and I think we do a good job of that in season 2. We get to go a little bit deeper and dive deeper into some fun scenarios, and you know, hopefully people enjoyed enough to have us back for a third, and then we get to go even more in depth.
I know I'm looking forward to watching that segment. Oh, for sure.
Well, and I know something you don't know, Brent, because I watched the second season, but this is where art imitates life. Is the last episode of season 2? You were on a podcast, right? The last episode of season 2, and maybe I'm giving away a plot, but so it's art imitating life of you're on a podcast. So here you are on a podcast.
Yeah, you are on a podcast.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, podcasting is kind of close to my heart because radio in general is close to my heart because I graduated from Humber College, so I'll always have a soft spot for radio and podcasting. For sure.
Yeah, the one thing I really enjoy is connecting people together. You know, that's where the podcast has come into play. Future endeavors to maybe expand onto the podcast might endeavor into the radio industry and blend it into that too. You never know.
Yeah.
So, but here we are. I mean, you're talking about your interest in the radio broadcast and podcasting, and it's right up my alley. Here we are, and then we're talking about your segment, your show that you were on, and then the podcast. Now here you are on the podcast. Yeah.
So I didn't know where you wanted to go now, Sean. I didn't know if you wanted to share a bit of your background, or I mean, I know the reason why you released the second season when you did is in recognition of National Cerebral Palsy Month, and actually there's a National Cerebral Palsy Day. There's a National Cerebral Palsy Day, which actually is March 25th, which actually is my birthday. Thank you very much. So my birthday is National Cerebral Palsy Day on my birthday.
Wow.
But the National Cerebral Palsy Month is this month, and that's why you wanted to release the second season, is in recognition of that. But I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that or if you wanted to talk about your upbringing first, or what.
It'd be a birthday present for you, Neil.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about wherever you want to go. I mean, we just thought it was a nice way to highlight, this show, and like let the cerebral palsy and wider disability community kind of celebrate a little bit, and the timing is just is pretty fortuitous.
Yeah. No,
that's very impressive. Very, very impressive. I mean, having it launch on that day.
There's also World Cerebral Palsy Day, which is October, isn't it? It's October 2nd, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is.
So so the CPers have 2 days. We have 2 days. 2 days of the calendar.
Awesome.
We're taking over the world, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So talk about your upbringing a little bit then, like kind of what we always talk about origin story on the podcast here.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. I'm like of all the superheroes, Spider-Man is my favorite because he's like this little kid. He's got really no special powers other than the Spidey bite, right? And I always really kind of admired Spider-Man and really thought that origin story was cool. So let's hear a bit of your origin story, Sean.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I would say that Spider-Man is also my favorite.
Oh, cool.
Superhero for the record. But I guess my story is I grew up in a pretty artistic family and artistic environment. My mother was an actor, my aunt was a musician, and everyone is like in the arts in some way or the other. So I guess I come by it honestly. But then I got to a point where I realized, listen, like, I won't be happy unless I'm doing this type of work. And so I never really saw it as like, I don't want to be famous, I don't want to be a star. I just like, I would be unhappy unless I was an actor. And I think I also have to give massive credit to my mom for she didn't inflate expectations. In season 1, Ian is like, I could never be an astronaut. My mom never said that I could like do anything I wanted unless if I put my mind to it. What she did say was, listen, if there's something that you really want to do and you really work hard at and you really put your all into it, we'll figure out how to make it work. And so I think that mentality really carried me through the early part of my career, is because there's always a solution to an issue. You just have to find it. Yeah. So I think that really has served me well.
That's good. Yeah.
Neil, I'm just going to turn my screen off just for one moment here and relocate into another room temporarily.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
We'll
just
talk
keep
amongst ourselves here.
Sure, and I'll be right back in just a moment, folks.
Okay.
Stay tuned, and Neil will be talking to our guest, Sean, and I'll be right back.
The wonders of live TV. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is, you know, you are the star. You're a co-producer. You're the creator. You're a writer of the show. You're My Hero. I mean, that's a lot to take. That's a lot of hats for one person to wear. I wanted to know kind of like, have you always wanted to wear all that many hats, or were you a little bit unsure if you could do it and just wanted to say, I wonder if I can do it. I wonder if I can wear all these hats, or how did that all come about? That you decided that you were going to wear all these hats and put on the show? Yeah.
So I feel like, to extend that metaphor a little bit, I feel like I might be a little bit of a coat rack, if you will. I'll explain that. What I mean is, I think I collected those roles because, one, there wasn't a lot of content for people with disabilities, as we spoke about earlier. Two, authenticity was important to me, and so the best person to head up that story was someone who had lived it. So, and then as an actor, as I say, we don't have as a disabled actor, excuse me, we don't have a lot of opportunities. So really, there's a selfish aspect to it as well. It was like, I want to create my own work for myself.
That makes sense.
So, so it's really out of necessity at this point. And then the producer thing, I think I'm really new to that portion of things. So I'm learning the best I can, and Long Hope Media, our production company, has been really great since day one on this process. About because when I approached them, when me and my writing partner approached them, they understood how new we were to the process, and they kind of helped us navigate really unfamiliar landscapes. So they've been great with that.
So you mentioned a writing partner. So is your writing team that you have, is it basically you and one other person, or is there more people involved in the writing team?
So our writing team is myself and Cassidy Siviero and Kevin Wallace, our executive producer.
Hi.
And so the writing room consists of the three of us.
Yeah, you're on there now, Brent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I'm on. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Relocated to the bedroom.
I just had a moment. It was funny. I had just turned my screen back on, and then I had somebody at my front door. I'm like, oh, impeccable timing, right?
Okay. So go to your bedroom. You've been bad, Brent. Go to your bedroom. You've been bad.
I have company coming over in a little bit, and so I had to relocate. Now I'm in the dungeon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about the writing team for the show.
Yeah.
All the people that are involved with that.
There's a lot of work that goes into writing shows. I mean, like Neil can tell you. I mean, everything that he has to do with arranging the podcast. I mean, some people think, oh, you just turn it on, but no, there's a lot of stuff that
we always make fun that it's just press record and it's like it's done. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on. So like for you, Sean, roughly, like, how long does it take to do, say, one episode, like from the beginning all the way to the like filming and the post-production? Like, how long do you spend like writing the show and then doing all the pre-production and post-production to get one episode in the can? How long did that take you to do one episode in the can, roughly, each time?
Well, it really depends on the funding windows as well.
Oh, okay.
So because that dictates when we'll be able to shoot the show, as they say. So we get together and then we brainstorm ideas, and then we come together with like a skeleton of what we want the episode to look like. And then we kind of, every writer's room has a different process that works for them. But what we do is we sort of pass the episode around the circle. So one of us will take the first stab at it, and then one of us will kind of do our pass, as they say, and then one of us will do another pass, and then we come back together and we talk about it, and then we take it back and polish it up, and then it's ready to kind of go through a higher level of scrutiny. So I would say it takes about 2 weeks to write one of our.
Okay, so quite a bit of effort then for every episode. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. Yeah.
There's a lot of editing as you're going along too, and
but when maybe you'll get involved and be the lead editor too.
Yeah, it's like when we do our bloopers. Sometimes we'll have bloopers. It's like no, you're live, Brett. What? Hang on. Yeah.
Well, our editor, Angelica Falco, is absolutely fantastic. If you put me in front of a console, I don't know what I would probably ruin the whole show. So, and she's absolutely fantastic. So I wouldn't really want anyone else to edit.
That's fair. Yeah. You're wearing 4 hats as it is already, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the show has these little beats in it that does remind me of just being disabled, but also, like I was saying with my previous wife, the sling was always an issue. Her chair breaking down was always an issue. And one of the things that I can share is the very first date that I had with her was a blind date. I'd never met her. It was a blind date.
Oh.
And she had told me on the phone before I even met her. She said, and she told me after the fact why she said this, but she said on the phone at the time, she said, I'm meeting some friends for dinner afterwards, so I don't have a lot of time on the date. But she said that, of course, to give herself an out, just in case she wasn't enjoying the date, right? So that was her out card to get out of the date if she wasn't enjoying it. But anyway, so we ended up going. It was about a month before Christmas. It was December 1st. What was it? December 1st, 2001. That was my first date with her. We went to the mall, and we did some early Christmas shopping at the mall. and I remember, you know, we were having a good time, and it was like maybe a couple hours into the date. I had in my head like what she had told me on the phone earlier. She, you know, that she was gonna be meeting some of her friends for dinner, but then she was saying, you know, I'm really hungry. And I was ignoring it because I'm thinking, well, of course she's just gonna have dinner with her friends. But meanwhile, she started to drop hints to me like, you know, is this guy going to ask me out for dinner? And of course, I didn't want to do it because I'm thinking, well, she's already told me that she didn't want to do that. Right? Yeah. So anyway, so after about the 6th time of her saying, man, I'm really hungry. So finally I say, well, do you want to eat something? And she's like, yes, you know? And so then we go to the restaurant. We go to the restaurant and we have a good meal, and I think everything is going really good. And then she says, wait a minute. She excuses herself from the table, and I think she said, I just have to touch my makeup, and so she says, I'm going to excuse myself to the bathroom, and so I'm waiting for her, and I waited for like, I think 20 or 25 minutes. I kid you not, it was 20 to 25 minutes. And I thought that it was going well. I thought she had ditched me. I'm thinking like all this time I was thinking the whole date's going really well. And I'm thinking, oh, did she ditch me? And so I actually got up off the table, and I kind of asked around all the waiters and waitresses I said, have you seen this girl? Did you see her leave? Like, so I actually even went outside the restaurant because thinking, well, maybe she's left. So I went outside and then I came back and sat down again. But it turns out she was stuck. She was stuck in the bathroom. She couldn't get out of the bathroom. Like the door was stuck or something. So all this time I was sitting at the table thinking, this woman's ditched me, and I was like so depressed, thinking like, this is a good date and she's ditched me, and I was ready to leave, and it turns out that she was stuck in the bathroom. So there's another new episode for you there, Sean.
That's a good plot right there.
Yeah, there's one episode for you written right there.
Yeah.
Neil's to be future wife at the time when she was his girlfriend got stuck in the washroom. Nobody knew where she was.
I was convinced.
Neil was panicking.
I was convinced that she ditched me, and I'm thinking, oh man, I thought this was going well because I was thinking to myself, like, she even wanted to say that she wanted to have dinner with me, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going really good, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, did she ditch me? Like, I really thought that, right? I was like, oh man. This sucks.
Yeah.
It's the climb up to the story, and then the suspense happens.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many stories like that, though, right, Sean? And that's what I mean is I'm sure there's so many stories that you wish you could spend more time on to flesh them out. But as you said, like the nature of sitcom is everything's fast. Everything's fast, and you have to hit certain beats. But yeah.
And you know, I think the network CBC Gem does a great job of kind of giving us leeway to sort of tell the stories we want to tell. So as much as I would like more time, I feel as if they are very supportive in allowing us to tell the stories the way we want to tell them.
Absolutely. I believe wholeheartedly on that, is the person telling their story on how it should be told. Because anyway, it's lived experience stories, but turning a lived experience story into a show that reflects a lot on just what a person goes through, or what they could be going through, you know, based on a story. But I mean, there's a lot more behind it. So I mean, developing a story into into a real life, like your character. Yeah, it's so neat following along with that. And like I say, I look forward to the second one that Neil's already got his hands on. I don't have
Yeah.
get the popcorn out. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? My brain, Brent. Yeah, it was. I was gonna say that with your show though, and I think this is a new trend with a lot of sitcoms now, is like you're pretty young, Sean. So maybe I'm gonna date myself when I say this, but back in the day, sitcoms used to be a lot more self-contained. That was like, it didn't matter if you watched the shows in order or not. It was like every show was a self-contained thing, and you didn't care if you knew anything about the characters or what was happening. It was like it had a beginning, middle, and end, and everything had a nice bow tied at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And but the new trend with the shows, and the same with your show, is the plot lines continue from show to show, right? You have a continual plot line running all the way through the show, and one of the things I wanted to do to entice people that are watching to watch the show is towards the end of season 1, you kind of do a really kind of a prick thing. Your character Ian does a kind of a really prick thing to your friend Eric, and I won't spoil it, but I kind of thought it kind of leaves it on a cliffhanger, and it was kind of cool that you kind of follow the thread, like I said, all the way through, and all the episodes kind of connect, and then you get to this last episode, and everything kind of like crescendos, and then it just kind of leaves you at a cliffhanger at the end of the season 1, and you're like, shit, I wonder what happens, right? So that was pretty cool. I did enjoy that part.
I was extremely impressed with that, Sean. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think that's the type of storytelling that I'm drawn to, is expanding characters throughout the season, right? Like it's an arc, so it's a little bit different than like say for example, Law and Order. You don't have to have seen last week's Law and Order to understand this week's Law and Order.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a case, and there's gonna be a trial, and then there's gonna be another one next week. But I think what intrigues me about storytelling is kind of like, oh, where's this gonna go? I have to tune in.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So,
What I
character development is so crucial, right? Like you want to buy into the characters. Yeah. Yeah.
What I find interesting on some shows too, which Sean, you could probably dive into this, is like say you're watching a sitcom and you missed a couple episodes. It's like some of them where you can just pick up where you left off, and you're like maybe a couple weeks down the road, and you've missed a whole bunch of shows. And it's like, hey, wait a minute! They're in this season. There's this scene of another character. So you're like, hey, I didn't know that character got married to that one. Well, what happened there? Where did I miss it? But it's almost like you're kind of continuing on where you left off. I find it so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me also, for me personally, I think where we left off in season 1. I never thought as if we could do anything differently to start episode 2. I knew that we had to pick up exactly, because I think there's something interesting about like, where are they both, Eric and Ian, at the beginning of the season when
Yeah.
their bond was
Mhm.
was so strong throughout the beginning of season one. Well, what happens when that bond is broken? Right? So it's about them kind of trying to navigate life without the other one, and then can they do that uh, effectively? And you know, one of them does do that effectively, and the other one, some might say, doesn't really handle it as well as.
Well, actually, to be honest too, like you've seen the thumbnail for today's show, and it was a little bit, you know, I was quite promotional on this thumbnail, which of course I don't usually do, but for this case, I thought, well, it makes sense. But actually, what I toyed with the idea of using the I was trying to come up with you know, cute little word choices when I come up with the thumbnail, and I thought about using the choice of flawed hero, but I didn't want to give the impression that the show was bad or anything. But the fact that your character Ian is a flawed character is kind of cool. Like, you know, I like the temptation would be to like show him in the best light all the time so that he has the sympathy of the audience the whole time. But I think it's a real benefit that you're kind of showing Ian as this kind of flawed character, that he's not always, you know, on the ball, perfect all the time. That's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was very important to me as we started down the road of this project. Was, you know, I had seen a lot of media when people, the rare occasions where a disabled person is centered in media, oftentimes they are infallible, right? That's not real to life. That's not what life is.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm having a bad day. Sometimes I misread situations, you know. So I think it really does a service to promote that's kind of what really goes on within the community. And honestly, I say this often, but I think Ian was where I was as a teenager. I think I was very bitter and disenchanted with the world, and I managed to work on that and sort of work through that for myself. But Ian hasn't really got there necessarily. I think Ian has some work left to do on that front, and I think that is a fun thing to explore as an actor as well, to be able to go back to somewhere you were in your life and sort of re-examine it when you've moved past that period in your life.
That's where I find it just so fascinating. It's like kind of like blending like ideas, or like maybe like things. Is that what when you were writing like that actor, were you thinking maybe like different things in your life that to kind of make that character like to be who you want that character to be, like of different similarities of the strengths and maybe the weaknesses of that character? Is that
Yeah, absolutely. I drew on
Yeah.
a lot of my own personal things, but also at the end of the day, it's supposed to be entertaining, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
the time, yeah. It's,
it doesn't necessarily have to be autobiographical. Like
mhm.
Ian can make mistakes that I wouldn't make.
Yeah.
Ian can do things that I wouldn't do
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's Ian as a character. So there's a bit of both sides in that.
Yeah.
Kind of some humor in with it too at the same time. And I would say when we're talking about when you mention about a wheelchair, like a scooter, motorized scooter, the battery conked out. I was thinking at the time, and Sean, you'll probably laugh on this one. I just say hook up an extra rocket booster on the back and just hit button.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I love the beginning of the show. It's got your wheelchair, and it's like turns into like a, what is it? The Power Ranger, not a Power Ranger, the Transformer, kind of a Transformer thing at the beginning of the episode. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
A rocket booster.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to also get back to the humor because I think you will identify with this, is that basically anybody with a disability that is, I'll say, well adjusted or well rounded and or well equipped to handle the battle scars, shall we say, is somebody that has a good sense of humor. Like for me, growing up, and I have about 30 years on you, Sean, I think, because you're what, like 27, are you?
I am 31.
Oh, okay, because your character says he's 27, almost 28.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, maybe you're about the same. Okay, so but you're still quite a bit younger than me, because I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna have my 57th birthday, and but of course, like for me, like I had to depend on my humor so much to make my way into the quote unquote normal world, right? Where I knew that if I didn't make myself approachable and fun, people would think, oh, this guy's weird and different, and I don't want to meet anybody that's weird and different. It's just too weird, right? So right off the bat, like I knew, thinking on my feet, like I gotta make myself a fun guy that people are gonna want to know, gonna want to get to know, and that's what worked for me, right? And I just wanted to know if, even though you're a lot younger than me, if you've kind of used the same strategies growing up with the same thing.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I agree 100%. I think for me, a lot of it too was if I didn't want to like hate how inaccessible the world was, hate how difficult my life truly is on a daily basis. The only way to get through that is like using humor.
Yeah, you have to laugh at it. You have to laugh at it, or else you'd be crying the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like as a kid, I grew up around sports arenas. Kind of. I was in arenas for a good portion of my childhood, and this is kind of embarrassing, but a way that I found is, in my experience, able-bodied people, one of the ways to get them to laugh is just have a disabled person drop an F-bomb, and it'll kill the, they'll love that. Yeah, like,
we've dropped bombs on here.
Yeah, but I think also there is that I'm okay, guys. Like I can make fun of myself. Like I'm not gonna be broken. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not fragile. And so I think that's why we put that out front. So I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
You know, I sometimes I'll make fun of myself, and some people say, well, you got 4 eyes. I go, well, isn't it better than 2 eyes? Yeah, but you have to read something really close to your face, you know, the small print. I said, no, I don't. So now I'll get my glasses and I'll say, whoa, right to them. They're like, whoa! I go, hey, that's a magnifying glass. It's a portable magnifying glass built right on my face. Isn't that nice?
Well, like I actually like to self-deprecate myself all the time, honestly, and I actually appreciate that in other people, and you know this, Brent, and people that have watched the podcast from the beginning is one of the big reasons why I want to get Michael Bublé on the show. You know Michael Bublé, right? Sean? One of the reasons why I want so bad to get Michael Bublé on the show is that he just strikes me as a person that is really self-deprecating. And honestly, I think that's one of the most attractive things that I can find in a person sometimes is somebody that's willing and able and okay with making fun of themselves and not being so high up and overly confident, you know, like yeah, that's a big quality for me. Somebody that's willing to humble themselves and kind of look silly and not afraid to look silly and not afraid to be vulnerable. I think is a really attractive trait to me for anybody, really. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, totally on that. You know, I try to just put humor in life. I mean, I do Breaking with Brent segments. I have a blast with some of them. Some of them are a little bit serious. Some of them are still funny because I try to throw some funny quirks into things too at the same time because you got to put humor in life. I mean, if you don't, then you know it just gets kind of dull and boring. And you know, I think life and boring and doesn't always coincide. So I put humor, mix it all up, and throw a badge out there and see how it sticks. You know.
Guess what, Brent? We're already at the end of the hour.
Already.
We are already at the end of the hour. Oh, that went fast. That went super fast.
See how fast the show goes. Sean, I'd love to extend the invitation for you to come back on to another podcast in the very, very near future. Definitely, we can talk more about some of your show developments. And I'm kind of curious, really, is how the characters are going to evolve in your show over time. That's going to be so amazing too, especially with Ian and Eric.
I dropped my mouse. That's what I was fishing underneath.
Did it squeak around?
Yeah, it was squeaking. I was like, "You dropped me."
As long as you didn't step on it,
Yeah.
Let's squash that mouse. But the development of the characters and just going forward on the show and seeing how it evolves is so interesting. I encourage our viewers and our listeners to definitely follow Sean Towgood on his adventures in developing the new series that he's got on there.
Yeah, I was saying too that like I have an older box of TELUS. I've got TELUS TV, but it's an older box, and I also have an older TV that's supposed to be a smart TV, but it's basically a dumb TV. So the only apps it has is it has Netflix and it has YouTube, and that's it. And so the only really way I can watch your show, Sean, is through for me personally, it was my Roku box. I have a Roku box in the back. Those Roku boxes are amazing. They're great. You can get everything on the Roku box. So anybody that has an older TV that maybe doesn't have access to all the apps like the CBC Gem, get yourself a Roku box, because that was my solution to be able to watch the show. I mean, I was able to get the press kit, like I said, and got a free click to the season 2. But to watch the first season, I had to go to the bedroom to my Roku box, and it worked great. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So Roku is the way to watch all the latest episodes on CBC Gem on Sean's new series. That's awesome, Sean. Definitely, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on to today's show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And we're really excited about some surprises that we have in the second season.
Oh,
and
I know what they are. I know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. I'm gonna, I'm really gonna do a little sneak peek, get the popcorn out tonight, watch that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say. I was gonna say power to all the cerebral palsy people out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're taking over.
We're taking over. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not going to be AI that takes over. It's going to be the cerebral palsy population. So watch out.
Full steam ahead.
We can't let them know the secret, right?
That's right. Yep. Okay.
But I'd be thrilled to come back anytime you guys will have me.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much.
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's great. Thank you. And I want to thank you for coming on today, Sean, and looking forward to having you on in the very, very near future. More than once. If you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want. I also want to thank all of our listeners and our viewers today for tuning in and watching today's podcast. Hope you enjoyed the content as usual. Watch out for any Breaking with Brent segments. Keep up to date on all the current content. If you want to be a guest on our show, definitely reach out to Neil. Where this year's goal is we want to get prominent guests on. That's our goal. But in the meantime, we do like to fill in and get people about lived experience stories. It's like today's show with Sean. And talking about the struggles through Sean's character Ian, what Ian, the struggles, like what goes on in Ian's life, but also what goes on in Sean's life, but in comparison of what goes on in your life as a PWD or as an ally. What do you face on a day-to-day basis? People around you in your life. Come on and talk about your stories. We'd love to hear.
Next time we have Sean on, we'll get very political. How about that?
Oh, there we are.
All right. I'm not afraid of that.
Okay, sounds good.
That'll be a spicy show then. That one.
Spicy, yeah. There you go.
Spicy, Sean. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and stay tuned for next upcoming episodes. I also recommend people to tune in to our other show we had on before Sean, also Tamara Taggart.
She was great.
Yeah. Definitely tune into that if you were following what's going on in the CLBC. There's that story. That story is still developing even more as we speak, because there's a lot of fix-ups that need to be done within that organization. But yeah, so anyway, thank you, and stay tuned. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.